Hello everyone, I'm Duha and Mazrouei, a third-year student in Civil Engineering and Environmental. Welcome to the second episode of KU Sustainability Podcast. Today, we're having Asaad Muhammad to talk about the sustainable cities and communities.
Yeah,
So how is the semester going so far?
it's really exciting. A lot of sustainability events and competitions. So yeah, it's going well.
I'm sorry, I didn't ask you about how you're doing today.
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing well too. You told me, correct me if I'm wrong, your major is chemistry science, right?
Yes, exactly.
So what exactly inspired you to have interest in skyscrapers and cities?
I originally lived in a place where we didn't really have a lot of tall buildings. The tallest building was like 4 or 5 stories height. So when I came to Abu Dhabi, I was really fascinated by all of the skyscrapers and the vibes of the city, the bustle of the communities. So I started learning about how are these magnificent structures being built and what challenges faces them. And it's captured my interest to learn more about this topic.
Oh, did you ever consider to change your major?
Practical topics, so I wanted to change to chemistry where I can actually have practical learning. So we have a lot of experiments in the lab, which is really fun. Long time, but fun.
What is sustainable architecture to you?
There isn't like one definition for sustainable architecture, but for me, I think it's designing buildings and using architecture to serve the residents and users of the building without having any negative impacts on the communities around it and on the environment.
It must be so hard and so challenging to run a sustainable architecture here in a harsh climate. So my question to you is, what is the challenging and the consideration of planning to have eco-friendly structure here or in different region?
The challenges vary from one place to another. So for example, in Europe or North America, they have winters, very harsh winters. For us in the Middle East, the weather is really hot. We have dry climate, and this requires our buildings and cities to have optimal shading, ventilation, to keep our houses and our buildings overall cooler.
As you mentioned before, in the North America, how can architects address the challenges that they go through because of the climate change there, as being in very cold weather?
Meeting the winter challenges, first must, as in the Middle East, we need the insulation from the sun and from the heat. They need insulation from the winters. So they can use locally sourced materials, for example, like timber, to build the structures. And there's other heating methods in building the structures. And also, for example, a city like New York is actually now is having harsh winters and harsh summers as well because of the climate change. So what is called the heat island effect. There is a lot of asphalt on the streets, and there isn't many trees in the city, which absorbs all of the heat from the sun and then reflects it to neighboring buildings, making the city overall very warmer than neighboring places. So there should be more planting of trees. And for the winters, they should also, in Chicago, they have an example where buildings are interconnected with bridges. So people don't have to walk in the streets when it's really snowy. So they can go from one place to another using these bridges. It's called Chicago Skyway.
Speaking of the traditional buildings, what are the techniques that they are using right now?
There is many techniques. For example, we have the wind catcher tower, which is used in here in the Middle East. There is the Mazrouei, which is used to be it's like a cover for windows to protect from the harsh sunlight, and it also provides a lot of privacy for the homeowners. We can have previously the buildings were made of clay. We can't make clay buildings now, but we can have the same inspiration of using locally sourced materials to build our structures in a way that serves our needs. There's also, for example, the courtyard. So, for example, in my country, the courtyard is usually inside of in the middle of the house, and all of the rooms are overlooking the courtyard. Usually there is a water pond in the middle, so when the water evaporates, it cools the temperatures inside the home. And there's a lot of trees, jasmine trees, which absorb light and refresh the scent inside the home.
We have also a similar idea to this in the UAE. We have something called the Barjil. It's a wind tower, and it's all based on the wind circulation, where they actually build it to cool down the structure.
Yeah, actually, it is used in Master City, for example, not as previously, where it was made of the palm trees and